Welcome back to Revision Series with me, Kavya Tendral. This series is initiated as per request we receive from our subscribers. So hereafter, every Thursdays, we will discuss on one topic from dentistry. Today, we will see about the orofacial cleft. This video is compiled with points from oromaxillofacial pathology, ENT, anatomy, and some pediatric points. This video is also having easy to draw handy diagrams and aimed to deliver the concept in cleft lip and cleft palate. If you have not subscribed our channel, do subscribe for more interesting videos like this, and also don't forget to press the bell icon to receive a daily video notification. These are the contents. Let us straight away go to the topic. First is embryology of face. If someone of us is asking us to draw a face, basically we will be drawing first the outline of the face. This outline is basically on the frontal region, the maxillary and the mandibular region kept as a landmark. So having this in mind, let us actually go to that embryology of face. So when is the face going to develop? For this we have a mnemonic. In many movies, they will be saying some dialogue when someone are fighting together. Someone is saying like, don't try to bully with me so that you happen to see my second face, which you cannot tolerate. Yes, here in this dialogue, we'll pick up second face. This 2 per se, and face has 4 letters, so it is 24. What is the 24 number is? The 24th day of intrauterine life, the face is going to start developing. As face is starting develop, let us remember like this. As we said earlier, we'll divide the face like this. A frontonasal, this is a maxillary, and the mandibular process. This is what is initially going to form at 24th day. Later, exactly at 28th day, that is to remember, let us have it as nose. Nose has 4 letters, again 24 plus 4, 28. On 28th day, there is one other important thing going to form from the frontonasal process, and that is called as the nasal pit. This is the nasal pit. So nose has 4 letters, let us remember the nasal pit is going to form at 28th day. And the rest of the processes are the same. What is actually present in between is the primitive mouth. Now, our part of interest in development of lip and palate is especially this nasal palacord. Let us consider this again. This part is actually going to be the anterior nares in the future. This is the lateral part and this is the medial part. When we construct the nose in the adulthood, this part is going to form from this. That is the lateral part of the nose and the ala. The medial part of the nose, it is going to form from the middle process of this developing frontonasal process. Here is the anterior nares going to get formed. But one another thing is, there is something called philtrum here. This philtrum is also going to get formed from the frontonasal process. To remember, philtrum is formed from PH sounds similar to F. So philtrum is going to form from the frontonasal process. Now coming back to the same diagram. The maxillary process and the frontonasal process together is going to form the upper lip. The frontonasal process is going to form the philtrum, and the other side maxillary process is also going to form the upper lip. For formation of upper lip, what is more important is the fusion of the maxillary process and the frontonasal process. One important thing, whenever this fusion is not getting happen, then there is a cleft. Lower lips are getting produced from the mandibular process. With this basic embryology of face, let us move on to our topic proper. Coming to classification of orofacial clefts, we have the cleft lip and the cleft palate. In cleft lip, we basically classify it as site, whether it is in the central part or on the lateral part. If it is on lateral, we will in turn classify as unilateral and bilateral. Bilateral always have a philtrum hanging down from the floor of the nasal cavity. Next, coming to cleft, it can be classified as complete or incomplete. If it is complete, it means the cleft is still reaching to the nostrils, because we know it is both the frontonasal process and as the maxillary process both together forms the upper lip. If there is extension of the cleft towards the nostril, then that is a complete cleft. Now we'll come to cleft palate. Before we go to cleft palate, let us discuss quickly about the embryology of palate. We have already discussed that palate is going to form from two different sources which we know. One, it is from the frontonasal process, and other is from the maxillary process. It is developing like this. So whatever we see, this part from the frontonasal process is this, and the part that is getting developed from the maxillary part is this red portion. Everything meet in the midline. This is from frontonasal process and this is from maxillary process. Now one thing to note, here there is fusion of the frontonasal process with the maxillary process. If there is failure of fusion of these two processes, again there is a cleft palate. If at all there is a failure in fusion of the caudal part of the palate, there can also be the cleft which is arising in the soft palate also. Let us discuss the varieties of cleft palate in detail. Here, coming to cleft palate, it can be a varied types. It can be from A to E, which I have drawn here. It can be in the uvula region or towards the primitive palate, which I have highlighted in yellow color. It can progress towards there, A, B, C, D and E type of varieties, which we'll see later. Now coming to the muscles of lip. This is an easy diagram to draw in exam, which is put up to represent a nose, ala and lips. First, we divide these muscles of lip as nasolabial, bilabial and a labiomental group. These are all the muscles that are acting or distributed around the lip. First is, we know this transverse nasalis, levator labii superioris elagnasi and levator labii superioris. These muscles are supporting the lips from the up. Bilabial group are the muscle that is the orbicular oculi, which has two parts. One, the horizontal, two is the oblique part. So these two muscles are the bilabial group. And then comes the labiomental group. These muscles are mentalis, depressor labii inferioris and depressi anguli oris. These are all the muscles which are making the lips to have a contour. Next, coming to muscles of palate. To easily remember the muscles of palate, this diagram is put up. So first is, we know muscles of palate. It is whenever we think of muscle, it has a belly and a tendon, but it in turn has formed into a palate. It means there should be some muscles in a particular way it is put up with. One that makes the palate tensed up, that is the tensor villi palatini. Then that is attaching to the posterior pharyngeal wall. Another is hanging from the floor, that is uvula, and then something supporting to the tongue and as well the pharynx. So have this muscle, one is tensing, one is elevating, another is hanging from the soft palate, and then one is supporting to tongue and pharynx. This is a diagram from Gray's Anatomy which is depicting all the muscles of the palate. First is levator villi palatini, that elevates the palate. Then is the tensor villi palatini. This muscle tenses the palate. Musculus uvulae, which is present in the uvula, and then palatoglossus, palatopharyngeus. We are more familiar with these two muscles because palatoglossus is the muscle that forms the anterior pillar and palatopharyngeus is the muscle that forms the posterior pillar. Within these two pillars we have the palatine tonsils. Next, coming to etiology. Very simple. It is usually hereditary and as well consanguinity plays an important risk factor for cleft lip and cleft palate. And the routine like maternal malnutrition, infection, teratogenic drugs, radiation exposure, and as well any associated syndromes of bronchial arch, especially Pierre-Robinson syndrome and etc. The problem statement here in these diseases: first, it is cosmetically unacceptable. A baby with this deformity are first cosmetically unacceptable. First. And second important thing is there is difficulty in feeding, especially in the cleft lip, because there is a poor attachment and thereby there is poor breastfeeding, and in turn the baby will suffer from malnutrition. Later there can be also difficulty in speech as well. This is one of the causes for unerupted teeth and defective dentition. These are all the some pictures depicting the lip, cleft lip. Here it is reaching the nostril and therefore it is a complete, it is unilateral cleft lip. Here it is again reaching the nostril, it is complete bilateral cleft lip. Next, coming to there is cleft uvula, unilateral cleft palate and a bilateral cleft palate, where in this bilateral cleft palate there is absence or the failure of fusion of the palatine process which is produced from this mandibular arch. Next is about cleft palate. Here in this first picture, the cleft is starting from the palate and as well extending to the nostril. Thereby, it is unilateral. So it is unilateral cleft lip and cleft palate involving the anterior palate. Next is again unilateral cleft palate, but it is involving the full palate. So it is unilateral cleft palate and full palate cleft. And there are some other varieties. This picture is put up to show the globular process office, because whenever there is failure in fusion of this part to this part, both are globular process office, there results a central cleft lip. Next, some nasal deformities. Usually the nasal deformities will be here. In this picture we can appreciate there is an wide alar base. You know, this is the alar. So there is a wide alar base, there is a depressed dome, then there is deepening of the alar crease, and then there is under projection of the alar dome. These are all the associated nasal abnormality. And one another very important thing in here is there is deviated nasal septum. Next, antenatal screening is important, but we can only pick up the cleft lip at 18 weeks of gestation. By detecting this, we can reassure the mother, because we have many other management facilities for this lip and cleft palate after the baby is born. To recap, here in the first picture, we can see there is a cleft present, but that is not extending towards the nasal cavity or to the nostrils. So it is usually incomplete, but it is very small. So this is a microform. So this is microform cleft lip. In second picture, there is a cleft lip, but there is intact nostrils. There is no involvement of nasal cavity. So this is an incomplete unilateral cleft lip. In third picture, there is involvement of the nostril and thereby it is a unilateral complete cleft lip. In fourth picture, there is involvement of the lip and as well the palate, and thereby it is a complete unilateral cleft lip and palate. And in this picture, we could pick up the cleft which is present in the soft palate. It is a unilateral palate, cleft palate. Next, in this baby, there is a unilateral. Here also, the cleft is not reaching the nasal cavity, so it becomes an incomplete unilateral cleft lip. There are in many cases it is only involvement of lip and palate, but a very rare case that can also involve the lid also. These are all the references. Thank you so much for your patient listening.